Hi everyone, my name is Matt Winnick, and I will talk to you about my struggles on understanding what career I wanted. Um, my name is Matt, and I struggle with autism spectrum, including a learning disability, along with a cognitive disability where it affects me on a daily basis and every yearly basis, and the challenges with my disability is I struggle on understanding social cues. Sometimes I struggle to figure out how to communicate my thoughts in different social settings. And I struggle on figuring out how to do a task efficiently in any fast paced environment. And I struggle with some memory issues and trying to process information at a certain advanced pace. When I was young, I really liked playing with stuffed animals, and I like going to zoos, and I like seeing the animals there. And I said, I want to be a zoologist or studying animals, but due to my disability struggles, I dealt with, I had some aggression from animals like dogs and cats, but sometimes other animals and how they reacted. And it got me very scared. And I said, I don't want to go into animal zoology because of that. And in my other career that I wanted to go when I was in middle school was acting. I wanted to become an actor because when I went to Tappan Middle School, I was in a play called Grease where the person who created the play created a short character named Officer Ronald where I would play like a police officer trying to tell like the other Grease boys about how to make sure you don't get yourself in trouble with the law. And that was one of my most favorite experiences I had in middle school was being allowed to have be creative with my character, but just um, having some short words. And because a lot of times I do struggle with memory issues and script issues after practice several times and trying to figure out how to speak and then how to make myself clear. Sometimes I start to figure out how to process information. So, but I was very grateful in my Tappan Middle School. I was able to have a short little part for a short character. I was able to be creative. And the person who created the character for the play told me that it's okay if I struggle, but just being creative is the best thing that I can do. And after that, I was kind of continuously thinking about I want to go into acting because I've always liked watching actors and actresses who starred in TV shows and movies and even like historical plays where they can tell a story, be creative about the character. And I really like the creativity part. But as I started to get older, I started realizing that acting is very hard. You have to do auditions and you have to be talented and creative, and I couldn't really do that well because same thing again, my autism spectrum makes it hard for me to perform certain tasks where it's hard for me to memorize lines, it's hard for me to um, talk clearly sometimes, and I struggle to figure out how to communicate in different ways, but struggle with social cues, and I realized that it was really hard for me to want to go into acting. And I've always admired many actors and actresses who do these things because they really inspired me to be creative. And that's why I want to go into acting. And I decided that it wasn't, I struggled too much. As I started to get older, like in high school through college, like community college, I kind of always had an idea of going to like history, and in history, I really like learning about American history, world history, and I like learning about many, many famous historical figures who worked hard to be creative and who wanted to have good ideas to help society and also to learn not to repeat the same mistakes, but be creative on advancing our society to better things. And I really enjoyed like visiting historical museums, seeing historical plays, reading short biographies about famous people on my own. Um, but As I started to further the idea of going to history, I realized that I was not very good at taking tests, writing essays. I struggle with reading material, where it's hard for me to do reading material when I was in school, including my community college. And there were times that I barely couldn't do well, and I had to um, go on YouTube, had to watch documentaries, I had to go to museums to help me learn, and I realized I couldn't do that well. And plus, there aren't too many jobs in the history job that I wanted to go into, because a lot of them require like 4 year degrees. They require people to be perfect with grades, and there were many job opportunities with history. So I kind of realized that I wasn't going to go further, and then I kind of had another direction where I wanted to go into law because I was very curious about the Constitution. I was very concerned as myself with a disability about how the criminal justice system treats people with disabilities poorly. And I wanted to be an advocate for disability rights, where I wanted to make the criminal justice system better for people with disabilities, and including like minorities and women and some immigrants. So unfortunately, when it came to law, again, I struggle on learning again. I struggle with tests. I struggle with reading material in school. I barely couldn't do well at sample tests where they were talking about law. I struggled at trying to complete the test on time. I did all these sample tests online. I kept struggling, where I just realized I couldn't do well in wanting to pursue law. But I decided that when it came to being interested in law, I decided I can study at my own pace, where I can like look at documentary videos about criminal justice reform, or read about the U.S. Constitution, and also try to look up judges or people that want to be advocates for criminal justice reform ideas, like drug treatment programs, mental health services, wrongful conviction units, to reduce sending innocent people to jail. And that's what I basically just do. And then as I started further progress in life, I kind of said I was interested in maybe going to politics, being like a policy person, or being like a public official, or like running for office. But it started to become more of a, like, not something that I really wanted to do. The reason why I didn't want to go into politics was because if you want to be go into policy, you have to do 4 years of college at a 4 year university and try to get a bachelor's program. But like I said previously, that I struggle with my disability at learning stuff, and barely couldn't do that well. But also, another very big thing I decided not to go into politics was because is there's so much corruption that is coming from law firms, corporations, the wealthy, and all these PACs, and where they try to corrupt elections, and they try to hurt many people who want to have a voice, common sense voice. And so I decided politics was really dirty and not a good idea. Um, and also another thing too is, like, with politics too, is I'm a person who's progressive, but I'm a creative person in mind. Like, for example, I believe that people with disabilities should not face any discrimination or hate. They should have accommodations in a workplace or in public places, or including education. I'm a person that believes in environmental protection to protect our environment. I'm a strong believer in criminal justice reform, like being smart on crime, where we can help protect people from wrongful convictions, but at the same time too, to strengthen our laws, um, and even train police officers to learn how to understand mental health, have social workers to be with them on calls, and have drug treatment programs, and have better healthcare services, including stem cell research or research or other medical research to reduce diseases. And I also am a strong believer in human rights, where we can protect immigrants, refugees, people with disabilities from facing any forms of oppression. But unfortunately, these kind of common ideas are not very popular political mainstream because I started seeing many people who advocate for it would always get attacked by establishments, to get attacked by Wall Street, wealthy law firms, police unions, where they try to make it hard to progress. And also seeing too many of our elected officials for both political parties, including our current president, and including other officials in state and local, and including in our judicial system too, where they aren't supportive of people with disability rights, or these common sense ideas that I expressed, where it made me very concerned. And also, as myself with a disability, I really wanted to go into politics was because I wanted to give a voice to my own to people with disabilities and say, hey, people with disabilities deserve help, they deserve kindness, deserve compassion, deserve accommodations, but nobody really wants to listen to disability rights issues these days. And also, the reason why I kind of wanted to go in politics was because I deeply had admired many U.S. presidents like Abraham Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, FDR, Harry Truman, Dwight D. Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, LBJ, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, and George H.W. Bush, and Bill Clinton, and Barack Obama, and Joe Biden, because they were very big on protecting our environment, advocating for workers' rights, and being very strongly supportive of civil rights, including people with disability rights. So I really, truly admire many of these presidents, and I call them very inspirational to me, even if many people don't agree with me. And so I wanted to be just like them where I can help make a difference. But politics wasn't the right thing, and I didn't feel comfortable going to politics. I have been working in the food service industry for about 11 years and currently, and um, it's been a big struggle for me with my autism spectrum too, with my learning disability and my kind of disability, is because I struggle to work in a fast-paced environment too, and sometimes it's hard for me to multitask at doing different things at once. And I deal where some coworkers have different personalities, and sometimes they get mean at me, where they call me like a retard or slowpoke if I struggle in doing tasks, and or just because I struggle with my disability. And also, I deal where some of them bully me and make fun of me and even put me down. And um, it's not very easy being in the food service industry because it requires a lot of work, because I struggle in trying to figure out how to navigate in a fast-paced environment, trying to figure out which task should I do, which is more important when it's busy all the time, when even we're short staffed, or if I deal where some coworkers don't want to help me or don't want to acknowledge that I'm doing the best as I can, we have to figure out how do I manage to do multitask, and that's very tricky for me. So what I have to do as myself with a disability and as someone as a food service worker working in the industry is the best things that I can do is one, be very creative by using critical thinking to help me figure out how to do tasks efficiently or what tasks should I focus on, which is important in a fast-paced environment. Second is do the best as I can to be respectful and understanding of other coworkers when working as a team. I always try to be a team person, to work with people as a team to make sure you get the task done. Um, Another thing too that is whenever it is slow, whenever there's a brief time where it's slow in food service, I try to focus on doing tasks efficiently. Like for example, if they need to get silverware washed, plates washed, cups washed, and put them away. If I have to like take my time to clean like the dish room, or if I have time to organize the dishes, I take the time when it's slow to actually do them to help myself or other coworkers be prepared before we have a big rush in food service. So that's what I try to focus on. But also, as myself, I try my best to be not to get provoked, not to react when other coworkers call me retard, slowpoke, use verbal harassment, or bully me because they really want to provoke me to get mad. And I simply am a person that doesn't want to get mad, and I'm kind of scared about facing retaliation and worry about slowing everybody down if people are trying to get me mad. And so I try my very hardest to, all I can do is just try to focus on the task, keep my head down, and just try not to be provoked. And um, and that's what it is like for me in food service is that I struggle with my disability in a fast-paced environment, even if I try my hardest to try to be a good worker, be kind, compassionate, understanding, and creative with critical thinking. And so it's a hard thing to be in food service. It requires a lot of work, a lot of responsibility, and even with my disability, it's hard for me to do everything that they want me to do. But I have to tell myself that the best thing I can do is just try to do the thing, do what I can from my previous statements of what it means to be a worker in food service. Um, Also, another thing I had a career in mind was going into social justice because I've been volunteering to help feed homeless people, including people who are low income, for a long time. And I kind of like learning how to help people who are homeless, who are struggling, who are poor, but like I said again, they require like 4-year degrees. They require people to have highly advanced education and people who can multitask, which I struggle a lot. So in that case, all I can do is continue to volunteer. And so I've been doing volunteering for 5 years, including currently with a small community group in downtown Ann Arbor, Michigan, where I simply just help them hand grocery bags filled with essential items like canned goods, insurers, or other essential items to homeless people, including people who are low income. That's a way for myself to try to help people who are struggling, who are poor or disadvantaged, if they can't get help from soup kitchens or the homeless shelters, or even with the food banks, if the food banks are being cut by the current president's thing. So I try to do my best I can to try to help homeless people and people who are poor and disadvantaged during difficult times, including past and currently. So that's what I've been mostly focusing on doing. And so um, what I have to tell myself is if I feel like I can't advance in any other careers or if I'm struggling in career, all I have to do is try to be creative on how I focus on hobbies. Like, for example, if I really want to learn about law, history, or social justice or criminal justice reform, I basically just study at my own pace. You know, like I watch YouTube videos, documentaries, I watch biopic movies. I do read short books about historical figures as a way for me to engage in learning history or other historical events. And also, what I basically just do is if I'm very interested in acting, I continue to watch different TV shows, movies, and try to write to actors and actresses to tell them how they inspire me. And I play with my historical figures where I try to make creative skits with them, and I work on writing my own speeches where I can present it and try to be creative in how I speak because I want to give myself a voice and try to tell people about my struggles with a disability, but also how I'm trying my best to understand myself as a person. And that's what I basically do when it comes to trying to be creative about acting, or even if I want to tell my story. Even if I struggle on making videos, or if I can't get many views, or if people tell me that I can't do well with my disability. And so and also I tried my best to be is continue to be a human being where I have to tell myself that it's okay that I have a disability, that it's not my fault that I struggle with autism spectrum, with a learning disability or kind of disability, and that I'm simply am just trying to be a decent human being who wants to work hard, be creative, use critical thinking, and trying to be kind, compassionate, understanding, and that Also, the reason why I find it's the biggest struggle is to move forward in a career is because I struggle with my disability. I've dealt where many people who either in education or other settings would tell me, including my own friends or people I know or peers would tell me like, hey, I can't believe you're a retard because you can't perform certain things, or you struggle with speech, you struggle with comprehension, you can't do well with tests, you can't read books very well. And so I deal with a lot of people, they use a lot of disability stigma when they try to make me feel like that I'm not a good person when I struggle with my disability, even if I'm trying my hardest to be a good person or trying to work hard or just trying to navigate life. And so I'm a person that takes guilt very seriously because I feel guilty about myself a lot. When people tell me, oh, you're a bad person because you have a disability, or you're not working hard enough, if I can't further advance a career, if I struggle in the food service industry, people tell me that you don't belong, you're a retard. And like people say, like, um, it would be funny if I didn't exist. And so I deal with that hard sometimes too, because I have to sit down and reflect to myself and think to myself, what is wrong with me? Am I a problem? Am I a bad person? And I have to tell myself, yes. I struggle with my disability. Sometimes I can't multitask very well. Sometimes I struggle with tasks. Sometimes I struggle with communicate my thoughts. Sometimes it's hard for me to understand social cues. And sometimes I make mistakes, but I have to tell myself as a person that I'm still a human being and I want to focus on working on doing good things. I want to be creative how I learn. I want to find ways to better improve myself on developing critical thinking skills. And I simply just want to be a decent person. And trying to navigate a world where there's so much anti-disability stigma, whether it's presented through the news media, politicians from both political parties, our current president, or people like Elon Musk promoting hate against people with disabilities, or when TV shows like to stereotype people with disabilities as bad or mean people. And so I have to do on my part is to remind myself that I want to make the world a better place. I want to be a decent human being, even if things don't work out very well, even if I get rejected by friends, whether I get rejected by people or coworkers, if I get rejected by um, people who judge me for not doing well and trying to advance my career or educational. So, um, unfortunately, I don't have many good advice for people, but what I can simply tell people is try to be creative on how you learn things. It's okay that you struggle, um, and it's okay to try to figure out what type of career do you want to be. Sometimes it may not be perfect all the time. It's hard for you to get career advice, but try to figure out what are your strengths, what's your weaknesses, and it's okay to figure out like what type of worker you want to be or what type of person you want to be. And I do a lot of self reflection all the time as a way for me to understand myself or how do I understand things better, and also to focus more on doing hobbies too. So that's why I plan on doing in the near future is working more hobbies and just trying to be creative, try to use critical thinking, and simply just do the best I can to navigate um, life when I struggle and trying to find a good career, or rather people judge me for having a disability, or when people make fun of me or put me down, or if I can't really have friends, I have to tell myself I'm just a human being. And also, in this speech, I really want to address is that I want people with disabilities to have equal opportunities, have accommodations if they struggle with education, if they struggle with work, or they volunteering or other public places. Because I want people with disabilities to feel like they are part of a community where they shouldn't feel scared about dealing with harassment, being bullied, or being put down for simply just struggling with a disability. And that's what I really wanted to say is that I really want people with disabilities to be part of society. And because I myself, again, struggle with autism spectrum too, where I deal with getting rejected, from other people. I get bullied all the time. I get put down. I get made fun of. I even deal with people using hate against me for struggling with my disability, or if I do have a disability, or if I can't perform certain tasks. So I deal with this on a daily basis, including yearly basis, and monthly basis. And also, my main message is that yes, many people say you're negative, I'm a negative person, or other people negative people if they struggle in life. But I think what I've learned from my life is from my struggles and from doing volunteering, helping people who are poor, disadvantaged, or when I hear people talk about the struggles, is that we are all just human beings who are trying to navigate a world where there's polarization, bigotry, or hate, or even if we are divided. And so I'm simply am just trying to be a human being when I struggle, and I want to learn how to understand myself and what I can do and can't do, understand my strengths, my weaknesses, and use critical thinking. And so I want to encourage um, education, um, places like colleges or schools. I want to encourage workplaces. I want to encourage volunteering settings, and even in society, is to treat people with disabilities kindly and be compassionate towards them. And not only that, but they should be compassionate towards people who are simply just trying to get by and navigating the economy, or if they're trying to navigate what kind of career they want to go to, or if they're just simply just struggling in a workplace. So thanks for taking the time to listen to my short speech. And I want to encourage everybody to please be kind, compassionate, understanding, but that it is okay if we all struggle, or if I struggle on trying to understand navigating a career, or trying to figure out what your goals for your career should be. So again, the best advice I can give you is just be creative, be kind, use critical thinking, and be creative on your hobbies. Thank you.